Here in Maine, a Holden man previously convicted in a hit-and-run drunk driving crash was back before a judge today facing new charges. 52-year-old David McKenzie made his initial court appearance following the new allegations in Bangor this afternoon. Back in October, McKenzie was sentenced to 15 months behind bars after his conviction for aggravated OUI and aggravated assault. In that case, McKenzie was found guilty of hitting an 87-year-old man with his car while driving home drunk from a bar. While prosecutors say they asked for McKenzie to be taken into custody the day he was found guilty, the justice instead granted post-conviction release. On Friday, police say they responded to a 911 call from a woman at McKenzie's home. He was taken into custody and charged with operating after suspension and being out past curfew in violation of his bail conditions. After first finding there was probable cause McKenzie had made a violation, the judge then ruled he would be held without bail pending further hearings on the matter.
Mr. McKenzie was, at the judge's discretion, allowed to remain at post-conviction bail, which he was not entitled to. It's certainly within, for this case, it was the justice's discretion to allow that. There's now probable cause to believe that he's violated the terms of the bail that he was out at the discretion of the judge, and we think that he should be held.
Well, we were hopeful the judge would find it to release Mr. McKenzie today, particularly based on the relatively weak circumstances. Mr. McKenzie was at home, he wasn't driving, and other than intoxicated witness, there really was no suggestion that he was violating the bail at all.
Police initially said McKenzie was also arrested for domestic violence assault, but according to his attorney, that charge was never filed. He is scheduled to appear in court again next month when a judge is set to determine whether he in fact violated bail or not.